Good morning, and thank you so kindly for the invitation. I think it's an outstanding conference to deal with this topic, and I think really I want to congratulate Jurists in the presidency for taking this very sensitive topic and putting it on the table for discussion. I want to make few opening remarks and then try to be very quick and very provocative in the short time that I have. First of all, it's always hard to go after Elia Cohen. He is a phenomenon in Israel. His work devoted to the research of anti-Semitism and hate work, and I think you've seen is like a walking encyclopedia in this field. So it's really a pleasure to have the opportunity to share with you some thoughts after Eli's remarkable research on the field. But what I want to try to show you, I want to pick up on some of the thoughts I think that Eli left us with, and try to show you how it plays in the dark side of the internet, where the hackers play. So I want you to take maybe a few home takes from Eli's talk. Eli actually told us that the main problem is that the Holocaust is gradually becoming part of the history. They're no longer kind of like part of our daily experience, that people can actually tell the story, and it's become something that people would look after on the internet or information resources to get more information. And there is a battlefield. It's an information battlefield. In this information battlefield, the offenders of the Jews, anti-Semitics and Holocaust deniers are trying to win this battlefield. And sometimes it won't be noticeable, because a battlefield, we used to see tanks and airplanes coming, and there's a lot of blood. We think of battlefield when it's very visual battlefield. Online, it's not a visual battlefield. It's only about information and computers and the way that information is represented. But in this battlefield, the fight is about who gets hegemony and dominance in this battlefield. So when, for example, Eli is showing you that you search for 6 million, and immediately you get the answer, the 6 million is a fake number. There's no 6 million who died in the Holocaust. It's a Jewish lie. That's what they tell you. People get accustomed to this information. And believe it or not, if it comes first in Google, most people believe it's true. They believe that Google did the sorting, the algorithm, so it's true. If when they seek for a video to put in the homework, when they do about Second World War, the Holocaust, and they ask to bring a video, and students today, you know, I teach my students, I see even in the university, let alone in high school, the way they do their homework, they ask a question, they go to the internet, they seek a YouTube video, they seek something on Facebook, they find and they represent this piece of information. And there's a battlefield about information. And we are losing this battlefield. Let's be honest about it. The Jewish people are now losing the main battlefield of the 21st century. It's the information battlefield. Because the other side is playing smartly this battlefield to try to pollute it, to try to poison it, to try to change the facts. Sometimes it would look like a professor presentation of the facts for Second World War, the numbers, the actual, photos coming from there, and sometimes it would be much more bland. Anti-Semitism. But it's all over. They are winning this game. And if I can estimate, in 20 or 30 years from now, if you'll try to look about the Holocaust, about Jews, most of the information you'll get will be polluted information coming from sources that have all the interest to actually demolish the memory of the Holocaust. So we are fighting now a memory or an information battlefield. Where do I want to take it? I want to take it to the playground where the rules are very different. Most of the playground that Eli was presenting to us was what we called the market for ideas. And that's the freedom of expression. It's a market for ideas. Everybody is putting their ideas, and let's 10,000 flowers bloom. And they'll compete with each other and make the truth survive. It's a battlefield on ideas, and in a battlefield of ideas, someone is putting a website, someone is putting a blog, and they're competing on attention. But most of the time it will be where people actually going to seek this information, trying to seek for information about it. And honestly, while it's very disturbing that there are so many websites dealing with Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism, The truth of the matter that they have very limited exposure. Because in order to get, I need to switch a microphone. In order to get, I was too excited, so I killed the microphone. When you are fighting in normal, like, going by the rules, put some content online, try people to get to your content, honestly, it has negligible effect. Why so? Very few people intentionally wake up in the morning and says, okay, I want to do research now about the 6 million. I want to go and seek for the Holocaust stories. Hackers don't wait for you to go to the website and seek for information. They take over the internet in order to force you to see their messages. And basically, what is hacking? There's a lot of myth about hacking. In my representation, I want to put a very simple wording to hacking. Hacking is the skills how to break into protocols or to break into communication, so to utilize it for your own means. It's either that you want to pollute the information, to destroy or interfere with the traffic, or to take over this information. This is hacking. Well, hacking most of the time will seem to everybody, wow, there's some very sophisticated, talented people who know how to hack computers. False. Most of the time, hacking would be kids that take tools and immediately take down information and actually pollute our environment. What I want to do today, I want to be very brief because we don't have the time, give you a snapshot of hacking, try to explain to you hacking is certainly not focusing on anti-Semitism or Holocaust denial. There's a very different font for hacking. Hacking is actually the current battlefield for most global entities. But there's also hackers taking it for anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. I will show it. I want to show you how you use hacking to intensify your effect, to actually utilize the internet in order to make an effect, an impact on this information war front. Then I will show a little bit of the methods of the operation, how hackers actually materialize their aims. I will show you a little bit how they sabotage websites, they take over Prime Minister Netanyahu websites, the World Zionist Organization website, they sabotage or redirect us. We want to go for the World Zionist Organization. In our face, they take us to actually a website where they want to demonstrate against Israel. It will be either that they take over information junctions, they take over the Google results, they take over the YouTube results, there are many techniques, or they use the social networks as Facebooks, and I'll show you how they put fake profile, fake groups, take over groups in Facebook, and actually take our social relations, hijack them in order to distribute their messages. And another thing, I'll show how they take over private channels, like taking over email accounts and taking over our private communication to ride upon this private communication and distribute their messages. I would try to state that it's an unbearable ease of hacking. Hacking, every one of you sitting in the room, even if he says, as Professor Shapira is saying, that I can hardly send an email, after 1 hour that Professor Shapiro will spend with me this afternoon, he'll be a sophisticated hacker that all over the world they'll be afraid of Professor Shapiro hacking skills. Why so? Because there is a myth. There is some element of hacking which requires high-level sophistication and breaking into protocols and understanding them. Honestly, most hacking is done now by armies and by governments. There is a very little hacking that requires this sophistication. Most hacking is people go online, find tools that are aimed to their malicious activities, and in one click actually conduct the activity. I'll show you in a second how to break Facebook accounts of every of your friends, to take over the emails, to hijack whatever websites that you want, and to demolish the Israeli official websites. I wouldn't go too much into details in this discussion because I think it's too technical, but where there is a security solution for it, I think it's a too technical conversation. What is the security paradigm, a security solution? I will try to suggest some hints. In my other life, I consult on information security, try to find framework of protecting information. And then I would say very little about the legal tools. The legal tools, like the European Convention on Cybercrime, which we will tackle here in this conference, the Strasbourg protocols, they are only legal tools. What does that mean? They're declarative, they state the normative world we want to live in. They have very little impact on real life because it's technology against the law. And guess what? When you are a determined hacker that wants to do Holocaust denial or anti-Semitism, you couldn't care less about what the law says. You could only care whether the technology enables you to execute what you want. Very few cases where the declarative law had any bite in reality. I'll be very brief about the state of hacking. You read it all the time now in the news. PlayStation network hacked, 70 million users' information were hacked. NASDAQ computer were hacked. Fortune 500 computers were hacked. 40 million credit cards number hacked. Anonymous takeover NATO account. Prime Minister of Australia is hacked. India railway station is taken over by Pakistan. WikiLeaks, you know, that spread all this information online. After that their bank accounts were freezed, they take over the first cyber war. They says, we will demolish the internet that is fighting us. And then hacker groups decided they go after the US police, after US police were going after some hackers. Just snapshots. Hacking, now you can't open the paper in the morning paper and not find few incidents of hackings that occur daily. When I speak about hacking, I always say, you know, let's focus on the last week. All examples will be from the last week. Last week only, the Israel Mossad websites, the Israel Knesset websites, the Israeli, what was the other website? 14 official websites were taken down, allegedly by Anonymous, which is a hackers community. At the same time, we realized that apparently Israel were taking down computers in the nuclear accelerators in Iran, and it was the same time where we announced that officially the Pentagon now admits that their computer system was hacked and they're investigating how much information was stolen. So it's anti-Semitism and the Holocaust is a small element of hacking. Hacking actually become, like I'm trying to show here, it's become a big phenomena. How to take the skills of take down computers and hack into computers become a real battlefield both in cyber terror, cyber crime, cyber warfare, and cyber activism, which is people who are politically activating, taking these means to make an impact. We would not have the time to go over the hacking phenomena, but just to present to you the argument, it's become a worldwide trend. If you are to look just on recent phenomena like Google deciding, China deciding to redirect Google traffic for short while to China to examine the world traffic. Like in Australia, there is hacking to the Prime Minister office. India is being hacked by the Chinese. NASDAQ computers are taken down. Lockheed Martin, who is developing the new jet fighters, are being hacked. There's so much hacking going on. And honestly, as information security experts, I have to admit, we have a real problem. We became very dependent on information systems. We became very dependent on this ecosystem of connected computers online, but we did not develop the solid architecture for security, and now it's a known truth that it's only a matter of persistence whether you can hack a site or not. It's not a matter of ability. And one thing to know, most armies in the world now become national hackers because they understand that the real battlefield is going there. If you want to get intelligence or to interfere with enemies' lines, you better do it through hacking. But hacking is not our topic. I want to say how anti-Semitism is utilizing hacking, Holocaust denials. So if you think, let's for a second try to think if I'm the offender. I'm the anti-Semitist, or I'm the Holocaust denier, and I want to say, what do I want from the internet? I want to get better distribution for my messages. I want to get better reception, meaning that people who get my messages don't filter them immediately. I want to gain credibility. I think Eli was showing us. You want to get credibility by the professor or the research, and you want to make impact. You want to make impact. You want to be in front page. You want to be on the news. You want to make impact. That's your function target if you're a hacker. How do you use hacking to intensify? Maybe I'll show you just a few examples. How do you do it? For example, you take down thousands of Israeli websites under attack and change their face. You take down Hotmail with use of most Israelis. You take down Hotmail in Israel to free Palestine. You take down just babysitting, baby tip sites in Israel. It's like where the parents' community are gathering to show your messages. But you do so also for targets which are significant for the Jewish people, like you take down the main Jewish websites of the Jewish communities in the world, or you take over the Northeastern Jewish Center, which is a main Jewish organization, to take their front and say, Holocaust is the 20th century's biggest myth. Holocaust is a lie. So you take over the information junctions which are important and make relevance, and you either pollute them information or carry their distribution channel to make an effect. So what is actually the tactic? If any one of you want to join the anti-Semitic or Holocaust deniers groups, let's talk tactic. What would you do? First of all, you want to leverage limited channels of distribution. There are channels of distributions for people that are interested in these topics. They have the news channels, they have the community groups, they have channels which are legitimate. So you hack these legitimate channels and basically take over their legitimate channels to send your message. You abuse credible sources. You take a source of someone who is very credible as a Jewish political activist, as someone who is very credible professor. You take their sources of distribution, like you hack into their email to their Facebook account and use them in order to spread your messages and to gain credibility. Just believe the impact. If I'm a professor at Tel Aviv University, someone take over my Facebook account and put a link about, you know, I was very puzzled this morning. My parents told me about the 6 million who died, but apparently there is a research showing something different. And I want to share with you the link. What do you think about? Some of my friends will think I'm lunatic. Some would think, okay, let's follow this link. Let's see what's going on there. So using credible sources in order to distribute our information. And another thing, let's be blunt, let's be visual. It's a visual medium, the internet. It's about multimedia, it's about video, it's about pictures. Take over this medium with its own means so there'll be an impact. If you hack a website like Bibi's Netanyahu websites, it will be on the front page on the newspaper. It will start the night show. So you actually want to make your impact. And there is redistribution and echo effect. I take over Bibi Netanyahu's website by showing Israeli soldiers torturing a Palestinian kid. It will now be in channel 2. 2 million people will watch it tonight. One guy taking over one site, great impact. So that is the battlefield we're working. I don't want to get too technical in these sessions because I assume we more want to get understanding rather than actual technical details. But what are the actually methods of operations in terms of technically how they do it? They either do what we call defacement. Eli was kind to introduce this. Defacement is the act of actually taking over the presence of a website. If let's assume I'm able to hack into the administrator side of a website, I can change their front page. I can change what the website will show. And defacement is the act of taking over a website. Website hijacking is that I try to go to one website and they redirect me to another website. We had, a few months ago, 30,000 Israeli websites were under attack. When someone just took over, I don't want to get too technical, but it's called redirector. The pointer that when you try to go for, let's say, the Knesset websites, they redirect you somewhere else. There is a lot of account hijacking. Any of you, come to me this afternoon. I'll show you how I hack your Gmail or I hack your Yahoo account for free. Why? Because account hijacking become the easiest sport in the world. I don't want to, to try it here, but how many of you are using in your passport the name of your kids, birthday, the same code that you're using for your bank? I don't want to try you, but just to give you a hint, 26% of British people were using Beckham. Beckham is a soccer player as the password. So for 25% of the British emails you can hack just by knowing who is the best soccer player. Another thing is called denial of service. Denial of service is an attack actually to take down a website, so to demolish the activity of websites. I'll show you later, but it's very easy. What is a website? It's a machine that is capable to handle a limited number of requests at a point in time. Let's say the website has ability to connect to 100 people at a time. If I'm faking 10,000 requests to these websites, which are fake, the websites get kind of like screwed because it can't differentiate between legitimate and illegitimate, and you take down the websites. There was a point of time when Iranian hackers wanted to show to Israel, we can take down your facilities. You know, we are not used to things in information volume. We used to think about, you know, how many tanks we have, how many missiles we have. But in the information war front, it's how many megabytes or kilobytes per second you can bombard. So how much traffic you can bombard on a site. They demonstrated on Israel at one day that they can direct to Israel on a taken over computers more traffic than it's required to take down the whole internet. Basically, they showed to Israel, don't mess with us. We have what we call zombie computers, taken over computers that they can take down your network. While demonstrated to us, they took down Hotmail that day, the main Blogger account, and many other sites. Another thing is identity theft. It's just to fake someone's identity and use it online. Many people were surprised to find out that they are Holocaust deniers or anti-Semitism because someone were borrowing their identity. Another thing is database corruption. I'll show you later. One of, I think, the beautiest projects in the memory of the Holocaust is to every person has a name, that you give name to the person and tell their stories. So it's a database, meaning a place where every person, every family have their own place in history and their own story. Guess what? It's very easy to take down a database or pollute this information. So they took down the database of the Holocaust survivors and changed them with Palestinian kids killed. Or they just deleted this information. I can't start to imagine what would be the effect if we really delete the information in these databases, which are so important for our memory and for our collective position. Another thing is spamming. Spamming is just using the medium to spread as much information as you want. I'll show a little bit. By the way, this is just a hint. There are some information security experts trying to see whether anti-Semitism or Holocaust deniers, when they're using hacking, they're really sophisticated. Because there was this myth. They're probably so sophisticated they can take down the system. So you know what the results of most incidents that were researched by information security experts? That it was a job of a kid. He was acting alone. He was using a known vulnerability, and it took him a few minutes. That's where the answer for information security experts. I just wanted to show you some of the research that we're reading. What is very common in hackers in going after Jewish targets? Go after symbolic or official targets. Try to have maximum visibility and exposure, that everybody will talk about it. It's very short time attack, but many attacks, they know going for a known vulnerability. What means a known vulnerability? I know that the default password in, I don't know, Word account would be so-and-so. I try to see if someone was lazy enough not to change their password. And it aims to humiliate or shame the victim. One thing that you want to do, to shame someone. You are a victim of a hacking, and it's in your face. That's certainly not a normal activity that you try to damage and humiliate at the same time. And you cannot see any direct gain for the attacker. There are no financial benefit or no real benefit for them, but the pure damage they create to the target. I'll give you one example which is very recent. By the way, it's not about anti-Semitism, it's much about fighting Israel. This is the Turkish incident. When there was the Marmara boat coming to Israel, and there's a lot of struggle between Israel and Turkey over this boat, hackers find themselves committed to be part of the Turkish attack on Israel. What they did, they search online in a very easy technique and find unprotected websites which have list of their customers, which is not encrypted or anything. So just to give you an understanding, they went to Pizza Hut Israel, where people are ordering pizza to their homes, and to Homeless, which is kind of like where you sell your apartment or rent your apartment. They went to these websites and find 144,000 accounts of Israelis that were unprotected. What does that mean? Yeah, we have a cholesterol problem in Israel. So what's the problem? The problem is that 145,000 emails, people when they entered pizza gave their emails to get promotions and were asked to put a password. Guess what? Most people put the same password they would use for the bank account or for the email because it was email with a password. So the hacker got 144,000 emails, and then they distributed these emails worldwide. They said, everybody, we get now 144,000 emails with the password of Israelis. Sorry for being blunt. The message was, go fuck them, the Israelis. Go create some damage to the Israelis. Show me what you can. There was even a contest. Show me how much damage you can create to the Israelis. Guess what? The Turkish were very creative. Some of the Israelis, they took over their account to spread pedophile pictures all around the world through their accounts. People were later investigated by the police for distributing pedophile messages. Some they just took out their email account and deleted everything. Some they took their account and spread on their behalf messages, spam messages to all their friends or viruses to all their friends. And some used it in order to spread Holocaust denial or anti-Semitism messages all over. Because basically when they took over the accounts of the Israelis, they, for whatever it takes on the internet, they were the hacked Israeli. And we see it was a totally politically motivated attack. They go normally for symbolic Jewish targets, either by the means of defacement, of changing how the website will look, either by trying to demolish the website, which is denial of service, or either just by redirecting the traffic. So let's see what it means to take down symbolic sites. Defacement, I think Eli covered it. So let's see, for example, hackers break into the website of the World Zionist Organization, the biggest organization. The Prime Minister Netanyahu website was defaced with this picture. The Jewish Chronicle website was hacked by Palestinians Mujahideen, and Muslims hacked the Chabad sites, which spreads the Chabad sites. One would question, how come? Israel? We're the strongest nation in the Middle East. How come that the Prime Minister office site was hacked? The World Zionist Organization was hacked? Try to think about the humiliation, the message that's coming out of there, and honestly, it was just because these websites were not secured enough. They didn't install what we call the last patch, the last security protection mechanism, and anyone who was trying to attack them this day could demolish these websites. Another example, by the way, if you want to see, is synagogue websites all over the world were hacked and defaced, and pro-Palestinians hacked target the top British Jewish newspapers, because what they want to show, we'll take your media. And we'll actually use your own media to spread messages against you. And what they did taking down this website sometimes is not changing the whole page, changing one article. So the whole page would look to you as if it was the real Jewish Chronicle or the website, but it was one article, which was actually a malicious article, in order to encourage the readers to read this particular piece. Okay, I'll go very fast. Here it's something very troubling. The Buchenwald camp, they have a very distinguished website where they tell the stories and the names of all the victims. So hackers actually took down the list of the victims and changed them with neo-Nazi slogans. So now a family is going to, it was corrected, but a family going to the list of the victims in the Buchenwald website would actually see neo-Nazi. The DDoS attack, I told you, it just takes to recruit many people to work concentrated together to attack a site, to take it down. Sometimes you don't need even the people cooperation, you just hijack their computers. So for example, Operation Intifada, a group of anonymous was going after the Knesset website. All of them were attacking the website at the same time to get the website demolished. On the social network, I think Eli showed us beautifully how they're using Facebook. Hackers also using Facebook. They see, for example, that there is a group on Facebook of 500,000 people which seem to be interested in Jewish-related topic. So they take down this group, they administer permission, and change it to be, it's a Holocaust denial website. So you find yourself when you wake up in the morning that I'm a member in the Holocaust denial Facebook group. Another thing is to change profiles. They put fake profiles of people. Sometimes, by the way, they take over accounts of Israelis and put the messages like, here,
there is not a shared evidence that there was ever extermination policy, no document, no order, nothing. This is the Holocaust denial. They take over Israeli accounts to spread these messages. There are much more receptions when there is an Israeli. And there was a takeover of many Israeli web pages, like the Tipat Chalav, which is the special health care for newborns, and taking over websites with slogans. But just to, and the visual would always be very provocative. One of the things, tempt the media to report, the visual to remember. So it's like this. You hack Israeli websites, and you put actually pictures from the Holocaust aside pictures of Palestinians. You put Holocaust denials videos that tell the story, the real story. Not the fake stories that the Jewish are making, the real story. The story that you can support with facts that Eli was thinking about. They'll give you the real stories. They go take down sites and says, we crash servers, websites. They'll show the Israeli, you know, that washing their hands with the blood of the Palestinian kid. They'll show how the Israelis, you know, fighting unfairly. But what I want to probably wrap up to show you how easy it is. Don't make me confuse you. It might be strong visual, it might show very focused attack from anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial, but it's very easy to accomplish it. Why so? Not getting too much in the details, the internet technology was not designed for security. The main protocol, meaning the main communication protocol of the internet, is not secured, and we also do not have appetite for security. We prefer simplicity and ease of use rather than making it very secure. So we prefer to use a simple password rather than something complicated. We prefer not to have authentication, which is like biometric, which is very safe. We prefer to have authentication, which is someone have to remember a password. And the tools to attack are very easy. So this is, for example, a Chinese site is saying, do you want to nuke a website? Like to take down a website? You can hire the tools. By the way, someone can make a guess how much it would cost you if you want to take down a website? Let's say that you want to take down the Mossad website today. What's the cost? It's between $300 to $500. Why so? Because the Chinese, they hijacked millions of computers and they put it now on sale.
So what do we do?
I'll try to come, if I, maybe in the answer to questions, I'll try to give some answers, but.
You have 2 minutes.
Run away. The brute force password, just put me a name, it will crack it immediately. There's, by the way, a tool. If there's someone you really want to hack into their Facebook account, $100 they'll hack into their account. Normally, they assure you it will take less than 5 minutes. Why so? Because they just do actually a compilation of all available information about this password to guess their password. Most of us are using something which we already distributed or share elsewhere. There's also a group when you can buy hacking tools. If you want credit card, by the way, you need reliable credit cards to do a hack. It costs from $2 to $3 to buy a hacked credit card information. If you want hacking tools, it will have a full list. It's available for free online, a full list, what we can accomplish. Defacement of a site that Eli was talking about, you just go to a tool, you just need to say what are the target websites, it will take them down. With the 2 minutes I left, I want to show you, 1 minute I left. I'll try to say 2 answers. First of all, I think that the law has a role to play, but not the kind of role that we anticipate for the law. The law in hate crimes or speech crimes normally has a declarative role, something that states the norm. They have very little enforcement appeal. So normally the laws that have some bite are laws about enforcement and about collection action between countries that enable them together to enforce crimes, to preserve evidence, to hand over evidence across countries, to solve the problems of international crimes, which is hard to solve. There are certain documents like the European Convention on Cybercrime and the Strasbourg Protocols that try to address this. Too little, but the law has a limited role to play. Most of the role is about technology. And the mindset in technology has to change. It can no longer be that we just say, okay, the site is there, and let's assume that no one will attack it, or we have very limited protection, just as firewall or something like this, and password protection. We need to start thinking proactive. I don't have too much time to say what is proactive thinking, but proactive thinking is try to think about the attack that is about to happen, simulate it, get very tempting target sites to see who is trying to attack you in order to plan, do what we call pen testing. Try to hack your own site with the tools to see that your site is vulnerable. And more important, try to seek for anomalies or something which is out of pattern that will simulate that something which is happening here is out of normal for this site. Another thing, there's a main role for what we call the service providers, the intermediaries, like the service providers that provide us the service, but also the Googles of the world. They have a main role to play. They are now the main front as intermediaries of information. If there will be rules against them linking or pointing to this hacked information, or request for them to cooperate, and they have the tools to cooperate, we can solve part of the problem. Another thing, we need to force websites which have symbolic or official meaning to try to think as the attacker and trying to attack themselves, and if they are vulnerable, to actually disable certain functions which are sensitive. And the last thing, security policies are important. And we lack good security policies for very important Jewish websites and Jewish monuments. For example, it can't be that official websites like in Israel would use default password. It can't be that there is no biometric identification if you want to log in as administrator to the Mossad website. It can't be that if you are the World Zionist organization and you have responsibility for the Jewish people, you don't have solid security policies, how you make sure that it won't be so easy for a kid to take down your site. For the sophisticated, really motivated hackers that try to take sites, it takes more than that. And there are sophisticated tools being developed. But for the simple anti-Semitism or simple Holocaust denier, which can be a single person working from the basement and humiliating us and taking over the information front of the 21st century, it's easy to secure ourselves. So I know that we are in the lawyers' conference. It was hard for me doing my, spending most of my life as a lawyer and having my PhD in law, to admit that law is a very limited tool. Law has significance in expressing or representing social norms, but it's the weakest tool. Social norms are stronger than than the law. Certainly technology is stronger than the law. So we need to think how to use the law sometimes, not only to declare what we want a perfect world to look like, but how to make sure that the technology will be utilized, or the technology will be designed to protect the values and the norms that we care about. And there's still a way to go. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present here.